Hi, everyone. Mark DeJesus here with another broadcast, and I am encouraging you in the practice of learning to slow down. If you want to learn how to experience greater mental, emotional, and relationship health, you're going to have to learn to slow down. And I know this goes against so much that we live in and so much that we've been conditioned in our life, in our journey. And I want to tell you from my standpoint, in my journey, I want to share with you how slowing down has actually greatly benefited my life and my journey. I'm going to share with you 12 ways slowing down has improved my mental health. So I'm going to just share with you out of the fruit of what I've experienced. I could tell you lots of things, and this list is actually something I had to shrink down for the sake of time and just giving you a brief synopsis of some great fruit I've experienced from learning to slow down. And I'll say up front, slowing down in my life and journey was very challenging at first, at times excruciating. And there are seasons in my life where I felt, I can't. Some of you out there, you're hearing the signals and you're thinking, I can't, Mark. I've got all these things going on, all these things happening, right? There's a tug on our lives to keep us from actively landing into a more healthier rhythm. We know we need it. So many of us know we need it, but it takes a decision and it takes valuing mental health to actually let ourselves have permission to slow down. And I realized at first too, it was very excruciating. It was excruciating to at first slow down because it heightened a bunch of things. It heightened some of the pain, the emptiness, the anxiety that was there, even depression and thoughts that I struggled with, bad habits. But it actually landed me into a much better way of living, and I never want to go back. So let me get into these 12 things, the 12 ways that slowing down has improved my mental health. And these are just reasons I'm giving you out of my life and my journey. Maybe you have some in your own that you could share and you could add to this list. But the first thing I want to say up front is that slowing down, as far as my mental health is concerned, is that slowing down helped me to become more aware of what my heart needs. What I mean by that is living out of the core place of your life, out of what's important. And many of us do not know how to connect to our hearts. We don't know what we need. We don't know what's going on. We don't know how to even tend to what's happening in our hearts because we're going at the speed of data. We're going so fast. And when we have mental health issues flaring and we're in a place where we have no idea what to do, that's usually a sign that we need to slow down, because in the slow, we can actually learn and become more heart aware of what's going on into our lives. You see, because many times people are crashing and collapsing into their mental health struggle. Maybe they're crashing into a panic attack. They're crashing into depression. They're crashing into an addiction. They're crashing into something. Well, that issue didn't just rise up in a moment. You may feel like it did. It's more the heightened levels of it are now being felt, but it's been happening for a while. And so slowing down is going to actually help you to be more aware of what's going on that's contributing to the battles that I have. It'll also help you to stop chasing symptoms and panic of like, just fix me, God, just fix me, and lean into, okay, God, I need to walk a new journey and a new pace, because relationally, there's things I need to learn in my life that can't be learned in a fast-paced kind of living. So if you want to develop more heart awareness in your life, because I felt like I was a pretty sensitive guy, I felt like I was emotionally connected, but I wasn't really heart connected to what I really needed. I wasn't aware of the brokenness to the extent that I needed to be aware of, the areas of emptiness, areas of neglect, areas of my life that needed tending to. And slowing down really helped me. So if you want to develop emotional awareness, you're going to have to learn how to slow down. If you want to learn to identify emotions, interpret your emotions, process emotions, that stuff can't be done in a drive-through. And so slowing down has helped me to become more aware of what my heart needs, of what's going on, to be more connected to then what I'm going to need to process in my life and journey. The second thing that I've noticed in my mental health is I become more relationally focused and aware. Instead of becoming task-driven, how many of you are task-driven people? Got to get this done, got to get this done. Nothing wrong with tasks. or a to-do list. Nothing wrong with that, but does it drive your life? Are you in a getting things done constant kind of mode? And so nothing wrong with that, but then it overrides the beauty of being relationally connected. You see, in our fast-paced living, we become trained to live very shallow because we don't have much time. We don't have time to deal with stuff. We don't have time to deal with issues. We got to keep things moving. So our relationships become more shallow. We have our nice pleasantries, our nice exchanges, but then we don't have depth. And if you want to embrace the relationship connection that's available, you're going to have to learn to slow down. You see, I want to be the kind of person that values relationship depth, connection, meaningful interactions more than just achievement and getting stuff done. Because many times, and listen to this, many times the quote interruptions in your life can be, now I'm not saying every interruption, but just some of the interruptions in your life could be God ordained appointments. That person you talk to, and maybe you're in a bit of a hurry, but you have a little conversation. There's just a beautiful exchange available there. And so I'm not saying, that's going to be for every interruption in life. Sometimes there are interruptions. You got to put boundaries up. But the thing I've learned about the healing journey is all brokenness in our lives is relational. So therefore, all healing in our lives is relational, meaning improving my relationship with God, improving my relationship with how I relate to myself, and improving how I relate to others, how I give and receive love, and how I process relational interactions. So the mental health areas of our life can't just be fixed in like you reading a book or learning, although reading a book and learning is great, but it's got to be applied. It's relational. So I realized I need to make a shift because I was a high performance guy. I was a get things done kind of guy and make it happen. And you're getting in the way and I'm irritated because I got something to get done and you're interfering with that. Now, listen, if I'm in the middle of, working on a book and everyone's, writing and everyone's interrupting me and stuff, yeah, right. But I'm talking about overall, when you are slowing down, you have more room for interactions, more room for those moments where you're at a business meeting, but you realize there's margin in the conversation where the person's sharing and you actually have an opportunity to make a difference in that person's life. And maybe you had something planned or you had something afterwards. We said, I want to make space here because there's something beautiful here in this moment. So I like to position myself in a way where I say, God, today, use the people that I cross paths with to bring about things I need in my life and help me to be a vessel of blessing in their life. And I found God will bring great interactions in that way. Most of all, if you want to learn to hear from God in a more effective way, you're going to have to learn to slow down. I know there's other aspects to learning how to hear from God and how to connect to Him, but slowing down is a big part of it. Number 3 is I've noticed there's less pressure on me. And this, I would say, is probably the biggest manifestation over time. I don't know about you, but for me, when Mark DeJesus is not living under the burden and yoke of pressure, he is just so much more free to be himself. He's much more free to be clear-minded, more relationally aware, more compassionate, less impatient, less angry, less all this stuff, right? At first, when you slow down, though, you might feel pressure increasing because you go, wait, I got to get this stuff done. I got these to-do lists. I got these tasks, because the conditioning of performance-based living is really rising up. But over time, as I learned to work through it, I have loved and appreciate and continue to enjoy a no pressure zone, because that's where God lives. You see, because with speed comes pressure. With pressure comes stress. With stress comes fear. With fear, faith takes a back seat. Love gets clouded. Hope gets diluted. You get worn out. Control takes center stage. Performance is the pressure. Perfectionism is a heavy weight. And then achievement and going and doing. And then we're still unfulfilled, right? So all that stuff is under the yoke of pressure. I decided I want to make an exchange with God and get rid of the yoke of pressure in my life, because it only increases anxiety, panic, worry, rumination, obsessions, compulsions, and more. When I'm getting rid of pressure, I have less of a burden to fix all my thoughts. I have less of a pressure that I got to be somebody right now. I got to perform for people. I really take to heart Jesus's exhortation in Matthew 11, where he said, come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is my yoke is easy and my burden is light. For I am gentle and lowly in heart, he says, and you'll find rest for your souls. And so many of us were like, we need a vacation. You don't need a vacation. You need to slow down, because you can't even enjoy a vacation anyways. The thing I've noticed that is a blessing in my life is in slowing down, I'm less prone to addictive tendencies. And so I've if you've heard me talk about addictions, I've seen them run in my family. It's caused me to take the lane of becoming very obsessive compulsive. So I include that here too. I'm less prone to being compulsive. I'm less prone. Do you notice when you're under constant busyness and stress, you're looking for coping mechanisms? Maybe you're just looking too much on the internet and scrolling through social media. Maybe it's just going for that sugary thing, or just going for that food that you're going to eat. Or maybe it gets into darker things where there's battles with pornography, or there's battles with overspending, or there's workaholic addictive tendencies. I find overall, when I slow down, I'm more mindful of allowing God to meet my needs and allowing myself to learn how to live at a better pace, to be aware. And because for many people, just the hurried life itself is an addiction. And I would say for me, I was highly addicted to busyness. Also, people who struggle with addictions, in your hurried pace, you might starve one addiction, but then often it just transfers into another one. You might trade one addiction to a chemical, and then you trade it for a sugar addiction and hyper busyness and church involvement, and you can't sit still, right? So what I found is very revealing is as I slow down, it lessens performance pressure, and performance-based living is a recipe for addictions. I talk about this in my book, Exposing the Rejection Mindset, how a performance-driven life will lead to, this is why you have people working late and pushing all kinds of hours, and they're just go, go, go. They're performance-driven with God, and then at the end of the day, they're empty and they look for a fix to make them feel better. When you slow down, you're setting up a lifestyle that's going to make you less prone to that. I also find number 5 is that I make room to experience love. In the stages where I was addicted to busyness and hyper, fast-paced living, I had no room to experience love. I thought I was experiencing love. I thought I could give love, but it was in a performance setting. I didn't know how to be unconditionally loved or receive love. Love is patient. Love is kind. And so in that, you have to understand, love is not in a hurry. You cannot experience love in a hurry. That's why I'm constantly telling my brothers and sisters to slow down, because a main facet of our journey is learning to be loved. Love is the antidote to our mental health struggles. In fact, at the core of our mental health battles are areas in our hearts where love has been blocked or compromised or hindered or counterfeited, whatever you want to call it. There's been a block in being connected to love. And as we learn to receive and process love, it has the power to cast out fear. It has the power to settle us. It has the power to ground our thoughts and our thinking. Love is everything. But I've got to learn to slow down. And in the slow, I learned to connect to God because he's not in a hurry. And that frustrates our fast-paced life because we want God's timing we want him to get things done, 10 years ago. And so it gives no room for patient timing. But in the slow, I realize not only do I connect to God better, I also am more loving towards myself, because slow is an act of love to yourself. It honors the vessel that God created you to be. The Bible talks about being vessels of honor, right? And you're the temple of the Holy Spirit. When you slow down, you treat yourself as an honored temple and vessel of the Holy Spirit. It's an act of love. In the slow, I'm more available to love you. because I'm not just in my lane going, and no longer present in the moment. Number 6, I have more space to work through pain and emptiness. Slowing down has helped me in so many ways to be able to work through areas of my life that go back to childhood, that go back to some trauma and drama that I've been through. I can face challenging emotions like disappointment, discouragement, depression, heartache, grief. That stuff takes time. And many of us, you experience those things, they force you to slow down. Like if you don't deal with this, you're going to crash. And many people come to me and say, Mark, help me get past this. Help me get past this. I want to move on. Okay, I got a broken heart. What do I do? What are the 3 things I can do so I can just move back onto my life? You're not getting it. You need a whole new way of living. And number 7 is I'm not in a hurry to get better or get fixed. Isn't that interesting? Because in my early stages of wanting to experience recovery and healing and freedom in my life, man, I was diligently searching, how do I do this? How do I do that? And that's understandable. There's a passion there. It's okay. But as I've learned to be loved, my focus is not on just getting myself fixed all the time. It's learning to connect to God's love. And out of loving relationship, the transformative things I need in that moment, in that season, they bubble to the surface because love relationship changes us. But I'm no longer obsessed about getting fixed, whatever that means, or getting better. I got to hurry up and get better. It's actually, I've got to hurry up and get into rest and slow down. If there's anything we need to be in a hurry to, it is to slow down. I'll put it in biblical terms. The Bible says, be diligent to enter into rest. So the Bible is saying if there's one thing to hurry up, it's hurry up and get into rest. So the one thing you can hurry up on is get into rest, slow down. Number 8 is I become less vulnerable to irritability and anger. Any of you relate to irritability, anger, and just under pressure, and you get snappy, you get flustered and frustrated? In my journey, it's very noticeable. I become way less vulnerable to those irritable mood moments and anger moments, just under pressure. Why? Because in slowing down, I become more patient with myself, with others, and with life. In slowing down I see the invitation. Chill out. The pressure's not on. It's okay. Number 9, the potential for stress, anxiety, and worry, all of it lowers because a hurried life produces stress. And stress is connected to fear. And be aware, brothers and sisters, when you slow down, anxiety can increase at first. You start fidgeting, you can't sit still, and then you say, I can't do this. Because many of you have matched your lifestyle to the noise of anxiety. So actually what happens is you start to slow down and you go, Mark, I'm getting anxious. No, the anxiety's been there. You just lived in a buzz that clouded, it matched the buzz of the anxiety, basically your busy lifestyle. And so now you're just more aware of anxiety that's been there. But I feel that with less anxiety, worry, stress, and all that, my energy is better utilized to serve the people that God puts in my path, my family, and really to be able to be mindful of what I need, where I'm at in my journey. And so for many of you, you're wanting to work through anxiety issues in your life, you're going to have to learn to slow down because your busy life is actually making you more prone to panic attacks. Number 10 is it helps me to connect to enjoyment. And joy is one of the things that gets robbed from us in our mental health battles, right? And so I really try to tune my frequencies to I want to enjoy life. Enjoyment is an antidote. Many of you, you feel like you don't have joy anymore. You don't enjoy things anymore. Maybe you felt like you never did. You're just going from one thing to another. You're not present. You're always somewhere else. Next thing, next thing, next thing. Life is meant to be experienced in the here and now, and you're lost somewhere else. Because of the speed of your mind and your life, you cannot be present in what you're experiencing. The Bible calls joy a strength. And for many of us, we don't have a lifestyle that allows us to really connect to the joy and enjoyment that's available. I want to live my life in such a way where in every moment I'm in, I want to extract the maximum amount of enjoyment from the experience that's in front of me. If I'm doing some work on my computer, if I'm playing outside with my kids, if I'm out with my wife, if I'm having a conversation with someone, if I'm in a meeting, if I'm talking to a neighbor, I want to just extract the greatest amount of enjoyment from that moment. And that allows me to be present and to take in the beauty of what's available there. And so then I try to focus my attention on, instead of I have to do this, I focus my attention more on I get to do this. Because then it tunes me into gratitude, it takes the pressure off, and it tunes me into enjoyment. And when you tune into enjoyment, you're less prone to the stressors and stuff that wants to come against you and steal your joy. I've learned in slowing down that I'm learning to embrace obstacles. I'm learning to embrace weaknesses and learning to embrace inconveniences in my life. Now, there's many areas I could go into. But when problems happen, unexpected things happen, things that need to be fixed in the house, or deadlines in ministry work and things, or stuff just doesn't go the way that I planned, of learning to tune my attention to, I can't control that. It's all right. Now, in a hurried pace, it becomes inconveniences that anger and frustrate us, right? And I've learned, even as a parent, many of you parents out there, you'll learn that in your parenting, God teaches, it's really more about you learning than really about what you're actually like parenting doing with your kids. God's really more bringing the highlight of your heart and your journey. And one of the things is, as parents, we can get so hurried, and what's going on with our kids, let's be honest, they become inconveniences. Come on, get it together so we can go. And then we realize, no, I got to pause. Being a parent has taught me to value slowing down, to be more present, more mindful of what's going on with them. It helps me to learn that that's how my Father in heaven is with me. So where in your life, in your journey, do you find that slowing down could help your mental health? The last one I find is my reaction to thoughts is much more fruitful. Much more fruitful. Not as judgy, not as harsh, not as like, come on, get it together. It's just a great fruit. I've learned to be kinder and kinder and kinder. Overall, folks, I just want to learn to live healthy. I want my family to get the best of me. And a lot of us, many of you are parents, and you're overwhelmed with your busyness. You feel like you can't slow down at all. And if many parents are honest, they say, they admit, my kids don't get the best of me. They don't get the best of my time. Most are just giving leftovers to their kids because they've got so many things wearing them down. You feel guilty about, I'm not spending quality of time with God, with myself, with others. Your relationships aren't as fruitful. But what we'll have to do is, if we value mental health, which mental health is really emotional relationship health. If we value that, we've got to learn to set our overall speed. So my feedback to you is, if what I'm sharing with you today bears witness, don't just focus on, I need a quiet time and moment in the day, although those are helpful. Just look at your overall RPMs and slow them down, even just a little bit. And you can do that by just taking a few deep breaths, just pausing and going, let me just slow this down. Take my time. It's okay. Because then it reminds us God's with us. It reminds us he's in control. It reminds us of his timing, his work, his process. And it reminds us we're on a journey. You're on a journey. And slowing down is an act of love to you. If you want to join me on this journey, you can get yourself a copy of the Heart Healing Journey, where I will walk you through how we can awaken, heal, and transform our lives by letting our heart experience a more meaningful connection to God in our journey. And so if that's something that you want to dive into, it's available in paperback, audio, ebook, and there's even online course. I got expansive online course material on that subject. If this video has been a blessing to your life and your journey, go to markdejesus.com, click on the donate button, and there you can support future materials. But Until the next time, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, this is your brother from another mother telling you I'll see you again soon as I support and equip your healing and freedom journey. And I want to just be a cheerleader in the process that you're on. I look forward to speaking with you next time. But in the meantime, I'm out. See ya.